I feel like I haven't spoken much about screenwriting, and there's a couple reasons for that. The first is there are so many great books out there on screenwriting, and I'll tell you my own progress through it. I started off when I was really a fledgling writer with the method of using note cards, which is a very popular method. I forget who popularized it, but when I moved to LA, I became friends with a screenwriter, and he was like, do it that way, it's great. And I did, and I usually had just a lot of note cards sitting in a drawer with like a completed story, and I don't know, it was good. I still kind of use that, but not all the time. And what happens to me, which is why I haven't, later on I ended up going to Writers Boot Camp, and that was in LA, and that was phenomenal, and that's how I write now. They break it down in a much different way, which seems kind of complicated, but it's good because it kind of fills in a more realistic way, and I love that methodology, which I'm not going to get into specifics. I'm going to get into the way that it's normally done. So maybe you get an idea, you have a whole idea for a movie, and then you start seeing the scenes of how the movie will get together. And I like that process actually, because you get very excited. You're like, oh, and I see him breaking into the bank, and there's this huge explosion, and it's all, crazy, and you see these cop cars everywhere, and you can see that, and you want to write that on a note card. And maybe eventually you get, 100 note cards, and each one is a scene, and then you lay them out and you can move them around, and then you start writing the screenplay in the order that you want. So that is how it's normally done. Like I said before, Writers Boot Camp does it a slightly different way, which I prefer. It deals more with character development initially and all that, and I like that, and fills in those blanks. I've written sketch and sitcom writing over at Second City, and they do it in an even different way. They also focus on character, which I like once you have the initial story. So why I also toss all of this out the window is because what I find when I am inspired to write a screenplay is that I get the idea, it like burns inside me until I start writing it, and then I start writing pretty much like I'd say 14 hours a day. I stop to sleep, I stop to eat and drink water, and then I continue on. And that goes on for like a week, and then I have a complete screenplay. If I stop, it never finishes. If I go back and correct, it never finishes. So I have to get that first draft in. This is how I write, and it's kind of annoying if I have other stuff to do that week, but it's also so great to be able to, get something down in a week. I mean, it sometimes is about a burning inspiration, but sometimes it's just, hey, I need to write this on this topic. It even happens when I'm writing academic papers or articles or blog posts, especially long ones. I have to sit with it, maybe sleep on it, and then it is just a sprint to the end. And if I look back, it's much more of a struggle for me. So that's my methodology. And what I like also about going back to Writers Boot Camp is I can do that, and then they help me fill it in a way that's logical and realistic and dialogue that makes sense and everything. So it's all right to do that. That's why the note card thing sometimes doesn't work though, because it's too stagnant for me. But these are all some methods I'm presenting for you, and I just wanted to say a little something about screenwriting, which I haven't done yet. So that's my little two cents about it. I think when I went to Writers Boot Camp, they weren't teaching online, but they are now. And if I can find that link, I'll put it in for you, because they really are great. And I recommend learning from them if that's like your thing, like if screenwriting is your thing. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon.